The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, as an anti-graft agency, was established in 2003 under President Olusegun Obasanjo's administration, with Nuhu Ribadu as the pioneer chairman of the commission. His successor was Farida Mzambe Waziri under President Goodluck Jonathan, who handed over to Ibrahim Lamode, still under Goodluck Jonathan. Ibrahim Magu became the acting EFCC chairman under President Buhari's administration, the man who is supposed to superintend over the nation as a watchdog on financial and economic crimes, has been arrested and reported in all sections of media. Recall that the Attorney General and Minister of Justice of the Federation, Mr. Abubakar Malami, SAN, wrote to the President Buhari a month ago recommending the removal of Ibrahim Magu, accusing him of misconduct, insubordination, and diversion of recovered loot. Since his arrest, astonishing revelations are since continuing to trail, considering the stance of the present administration against corruption. Welcome to the Patriot on Television Nigerian, a platform where we discuss issues of national importance, answering the question of how much of our country we love. Welcome on board. I am Peggy Shandy.
To Nigeria, my country. So goes the opening lines of the 6-line national pledge of Nigeria. Today, not a few, whether young or old, merely recite the national pledge as a matter of routine or tradition, with their hearts being poles apart from the very spirit, creed, and essence of the pledge. Many simply do not understand its purport or feel the import of it, while many others choose to observe the pledge in breach only. Today we have decided to walk on the footpath of the very words of the national pledge, keeping its vision and essence in our hearts, in our souls, and in our minds.
I pledge
Nigeria,
my country,
to be faithful,
loyal, and honest,
to serve Nigeria with all my strength,
to defend her unity,
and uphold her honor and glory.
So help me God. Nigeria, no doubt, will truly be the giant of Africa, developed and well rated in all indices, if her national pledge is treated with sacred obedience. It's on us, it's our duty and responsibility to make this country a better place. Let's live the pledge.
Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. This is the Patriot on Television Nigerian, and our guest to deal with this very important topic is CSP Vandefan James, retired, Commander SARS FCT Abuja, and former head of Department of Counterterrorism and General Investigations, who served with the EFCC under the first female EFCC chairman, Farida Waziri, between 2008 and 2015. James is a security consultant and a public affairs analyst. Please, CSP James, welcome to the Patriot on Television Nigerian.
Thank you, Mr. Shepard. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. It's good to have you here again.
Yes, a pleasure having me in here too.
You have come here many times and you have discussed quite a number of topics, ranging from the variety of depths. Depth. You have launched very deep in many dimensions on different topics.
Yes.
But I think today is one of the most important topics I consider very important that you must be discussing here in our studios.
I appreciate that.
You served with the EFCC in general investigations, and you did a very good job. Well, today Magu, who is the boss in charge of the EFCC, has been apprehended and is into incarceration. And the other person who is going to speak well about these issues is none other than you. Welcome to the Patriot, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right. I want to just go straight to the point.
Okay.
What's your thought about the coming of Magu in the first place as the chairman, EFCC, in 2015?
Yeah, thank you for having me in here once again. And my thoughts about Magu has been that I think there was a misnomer in appointing him in the first place to head the EFCC, because I work closely with him, and no doubt he's a fine officer. But if you look at the credentials that previous EFCC chairmen have as against his own, you discover that he's not vibrant in terms of speaking. That is why you will see him appearing less in any of the public shows. He has never called a press conference where he spoke to the people about issues. The few occasions that you see that he came on air to talk about issues has been modeled by a lot of controversies. And the first one was his linking COVID-19 to corruption, that this is the cause of COVID-19. And the other one was where he appeared on China's television and was asked about his intentions of building the capacity of the EFCC. He went on to talk about the structures, talk about building, physical houses that he was going to do in terms of the headquarters of the building. Now, when you look at all these utterances in the public, it justifies why most people who were within the EFCC then felt that it was an embarrassing to have him as a chairman. Now, no doubt his hard-working officer is my boss, but when you look at the EFCC officials who are there today, nobody seems to be at peace with him. And the way he came in, nobody was expecting that Lamode was going, because he was still doing a very good job. And looking at the credentials of Lamode, from Nuhu Ribadu to Mrs. Waziri to himself as a chairman, he served as the director of operations under Nuhu Ribadu and under Mrs. Waziri, and then subsequently became the chairman. He had a lot of experiences. So he did well. So Magu's coming wasn't expected at all, and a lot of people were disappointed that he was made the chairman of the EFCC, and the National Assembly also didn't see a reason why they would confine him, and today he's where we are now. So that has been the expectation, and that has been the result of what we have about him.
So the credentials of other contestants who actually came, who are those other contestants who had better credentials?
Well, there was actually nobody was expecting that Lamode was going to leave. Nobody, because Lamode knows how to balance investigations. He knows what he was doing on the seat also. He took over from a woman that had very tall credentials and achievement in the EFCC as the chairman. And when Lamode came, he was building on what she left to make sure that the charisma of the men didn't go down. The welfare of the men was also topmost on their minds. And then the general achievements of EFCC were also there. The international community was still very close with Lamode also, so there was no reason for him to be changed. The government has a reason why they changed him, and I think it was because Magu had his way of going to be part of those who were doing an investigation of the Secretary Advisor's office, National Secretary Advisor's office. That made it to become closer to the people. So essentially, most people saw Magu's emergence as a betrayer of Lamode's patriotism by sending him to be part of the panel that was investigating NSA. He was able to use that to now maybe lobby, and then his closeness to the people who were then in court on top made him to get a job. It wasn't advertised, and nobody was expecting Lamode to go.
Could it be that Lamode was not being able to investigate the NSA properly or stuff?
No, the time that Lamade was there was no investigation about the NSA. There was no investigation because Manuel, he was under Jonathan. NSA was also under Jonathan. It was when Buhari came that they wanted to investigate the office of NSA to see what happened with the funds that were released for anti-insurgency in the north. The northeast generally. So it was as a follow-up of that Magu was drafted as part of the team that could be conducting the investigation.
Who drafted him in? Who?
Well, it was Lamade that recommended him because you can't just pick him now. Someone must send him there. So he was sent by Lamade to be a part of the team that was handling the investigation there.
And then he ended up taking the seat that Lamade recommended
yes,
him.
I think that was what he got as his own benefit from there.
Well, thank you very much. I'm sure that Lamade will be listening to us now and he's watching very keenly. Mr. James, can we say that what is going on with Magu now is a case of corruption fighting back?
Well, I don't think so. There is a case of corruption fighting back. Let me go back to your first question where you are talking about patriotism on the part of government. For government to appoint you to become the chief investigator of those who are corrupt in the public service, and then for the same government to turn around and investigate you that he has appointed, shows the degree of credibility of the government in power. It has shown that the government really wants transparency to be contained in whatever it's doing, and that is why Magu has been subjected to investigation. The same Magu that they were standing behind him to make sure that if it is not confirmed, he will still be acting in perpetuity until the administration elapses. And today, Magu has been found wanting based on reports from Attorney General's office and based on findings that he might have gathered, and outlined a lot of discrepancies in what if Magu was doing and monitoring submission also. So for a government of this nature to now come back to investigate its own person shows that it's really interested in fighting corruption, and that is why they want people with pedigree of doing the right thing to be there. Now, going back to the issue of corruption fighting back, for now, we have not linked the investigation to anybody who was investigated by Magu or by any other person to have been the author of the petition that generated into what is happening today. I know in the long run, you are going to have a lot of evidences that people could start turning up that, okay, Magu might have done ABCD. So the scope will be expanded by the President Investigation Team to see whether people that Magu investigated and cleared might have also had some dirty cobbles around them. Wonder Magu might have done some shady deals with them. One area where issues have started coming out is the issue of the bureau de change in Kaduna, where a lot of monies have been traced to that, and over 100 accounts have been traced to the bureau de change, and it's linked to himself also. Now, when you start having this kind of information coming out, that one didn't come out because people petitioned or someone came out to say it. It came out because the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, the NFIU, was able to now do a search on his background and was able to get into this kind of things that happened. And I was hearing, I have not confirmed it, that shortly after that revelation, the office of the chairman of the NFIU was boggled.
What is NFIU?
Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit. Now, that unit was under EFCC before. Their work essentially is to do a tray of financial movement, both within and outside. They can also monitor certain expenditure and certain individuals and know what they've been doing, how many accounts they have, and where they've been to, what and what they buy in terms of assets. Now,
so the group is been separated now?
Yes, now it's an autonomous group that's under the CBN, and they have a separate Director General in the name of Mr. Modibo. Modibo was also a staff of EFCC. He had issues with Magu, and Magu posted him there without an assigned duty. But unfortunately, Magu now lost out because Modibo became the chairman, the head of the NFIU, based on the experiences he had. Now, that is by the way. But when you look at corruption fighting, there would have been an issue where a group of people who are investigated previously would have come to petition Magu and bring out some evidences against him. That is when we're talking about corruption is fighting Magu today. But what has happened is an internal affairs. The supervisory ministry, Ministry of Justice, decided to see that the right thing should be done. So they are the ones that wrote the petition. They are the ones that sent a memo to the president They're the ones that are like the complainant now. So it is not.
So
as if,
what are the details of the letter that was written from the Attorney General's office to the presidency?
Well, the detail was just as you gave a narrative in your opening remarks here, that Magu was said to have been submitted to Attorney General. There were a lot of discrepancies in the assets that were recovered and declared. The shortfall of about 39 billion was noticed in what is declared and what was actually in the bank. And then nobody was able to know the amount of interest that was paid on the recovered funds that were domiciled with the banks. And then he was accused of also auctioning certain vehicles to his cronies and friends without due process.
Auctioning vehicles from where?
The recovered vehicles that he got approval to sell them, to auction them. Now, when you look at most of the territorial evidences that are there, they were based solely on administrative processes that Magu didn't follow. And that was why the Attorney General now wrote. And then part of it was also that he refused to submit certain case files or high-profile persons that the Attorney General wanted to review. Now, he is under the Ministry of Justice. So if the Minister of Justice is trying to find out...
Okay, EFCC is under the Ministry of Justice.
Yeah, that's the supervisory ministry of EFCC. Now the EFCC, the ICPC, and then the NDLA, and Special Presidential Task Force on Asset Recovery, SPRP, they are all under the Ministry of Justice. Now, it could be that Attorney General might have gotten some complaints concerning certain case files that Magu was handling, and that was why he was requesting for it. So, and if you look at all the former EFCC bosses that have gone, it is because of the rankling between them and Attorney General, apart from Lamode. Lamode never had that issue. But from Ribadu to Mrs. Waziri to Magu today, it has been the same thing. So you must be able to balance your own powers as EFCC chairman and that of the office that is supervising you. In the context of Magu, this were the allegations that he was not obeying instructions from the Office of Attorney General. There was a court order that asked him to also release funds to a particular person based on the judgment that was obtained.
Yeah, on an investigation that he was carrying about the particular
yes,
case.
There was an investigation. I think they went to court, a particular staff of a bank. They went to court, and then the court also gave a fiat that the judgment was that they should release the funds to the person. And he still refused to obey the court order. Now, these are the things that were catalogued as his offenses. And the assets that he recovered, there was a huge shortfall between what he declared and what was discovered to have been the total recovery. So when you have these discrepancies and the supervisory ministry is telling you this is what they want, because they are trying to project the image of the government to be that of a government that is transparent and is honest in trying to tackle corruption issues.
Yeah.
And if the same person who is in charge of corruption, anti-corruption, is not willing to do the right thing in such a way that they can be happy, then they are bound to be investigated.
That's very correct.
He's here today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, CSP
Thank you.
James. Now, we have dwelt so much on that aspect of it that you have mentioned, you know, supervisory ministry insubordination. And it's good to know that EFCC is under the supervisory ministry, Minister of Justice.
Yeah.
And which is why the minister has, you know, powers over him and all that. And I'm very sure that you work with EFCC, but the EFCC chairman is not supposed to be feeling like he's the minister himself, I'm sure. That's right. So,
Wow,
no, but
yeah.
I'm going to a third question. Yeah. Am I correct?
All right.
Very correct. All right. Now, I want you to just go a bit into the choice of the manner to which the panel investigating Magu and who heads it. How do you think the whole idea of the panel that was set and the person who is heading the panel to investigate Magu? Tell me what you think about that system of the panel and who heads the panel.
Well, the panel is a good thing because it has gone to also show the credibility of the government in trying to ensure that Magu also has a fair share of his explanations, and then it's not unnecessarily subdued to agree that he has done the wrong thing by the minister. Now it is to clear the road for whoever could be doubting what the minister has said and what Magu will be saying. And that is why the panel came on board. I don't know who said the panel. It would have been maybe another minister, or maybe the officer of the secretary to government,
That's right.
or any other person in the presidency would have also made the panel to be there. Now, the panel gives Magu also room to now present his side of arguments, item by item, fact by fact, and then show documents to support his own position also. So that it shouldn't be that, yes, you have been cajoled out of office as a result of maybe the man is a minister. The minister to warn the panel to be sure that a credible thing is done so that his integrity will also be protected, that what he was alleging were actually facts. So the panel is a neutral body now that is going to stay as arbiter between Mr. Magu and then the minister.
So who heads the panel? Who heads the panel?
I'm coming to that. Now, the choice of retired Justice Salami of the Federal Court of Appeal, he was the President Court of Appeal, and under Jonathan. And if you look at the circumstances that resulted to his own retirement also, were more or less a process of corruption also, because it was supposed to be a case of election petition in Sokoto State, where he was supposed to preside on it. From what was in the papers, there was an argument between him and the then late Justice Kasinalu that he was not going to toe the line of what the justice was telling him. At the end of the day, he was eased out of office and he couldn't sit on that panel to deliver the judgment. And the judgment went the way it was predicted in papers. Now, Salami was eased out because they knew him to be someone that is so tough against corruption. He's not a man that is compromising in any other form at all. People knew him to be a man of integrity and a very high pedigree. Now, based on these antecedents, for him to come and head a panel of this nature is also a credit to show that government wanted transparency in the investigation.
Wow.
And then whatever result that is going to be turned out, it's going to be difficult for anybody to question the validity of that result. So for me, his choice as a person who head a panel is very credible, and I think Magu will also get a fair share of whatever justice is supposed to be delivered by the panel. So I think it's a good thing for the nation, it's a good thing for the government, it's a good thing for Minister of Justice, it's a good thing also for Magu to have a man like this to head the panel.
Wow. Thank you very much, Mr. James.
Thank you.
I think you'll do very well in the class.
Well, if I have the opportunity of going there to lecture,
I mean, it's you know this EFCC stuff and the laws, you know,
I've
the
been there
tips.
for over 8 years, so I know everything.
You know everything about saying, and so whatever you were saying here is on sound authority.
Yeah.
You know, we don't bring people who don't know nothing to the studios here. We bring people with sound authority,
That's important.
so that they can say what the Nigerians can also listen to.
That's good to do.
Well, thank you very much. We're going to take a very short break, but I just wanted to just take this. I just wanted to just clear the air on this. Now that you have appreciated the presidential panel headed by Justice
persons went to jail. So the government really did well. A lot of cases are still under investigation. So many cases are in court today. So if you look at the totality of what the government has achieved in terms of anti-corruption, it has surpassed the records of all the previous governments put together. So for me, they have done well. And at a point, I think Magu lost the momentum because power started getting to his head. And he didn't follow the lay-down processes of saying he was going to go with the law and obeyed what the minister was giving him. And that was why he found himself in this position. But generally, the staff is supposed to be commended for doing a very good job there. So it's a good thing. They have done well.
Thank you very much, James.
Thank you.
I want us to also approach this very important topic, you know, when we come back from the break. You know, the word was watching Nigeria.
Yeah.
And the drive against corruption. And that was the mantra of the present administration under President Buhari.
Yeah.
And then so what is going to be seen in public light right now, in the eyes of other people who are watching at the international scene and looking at, if all these things were happening, then why didn't they get it nipped in the bud right from time? Or if something sinister could have been the reason for why Magu'S is investigated now? Or could it be that something just happened somewhere wrongly. Are we in the right path that he is under investigation or we are not? From the international scene, we will come back from the break, please. All right. We will take a very short break, and when we return, CSP James will be stewing us up some more. Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. This is the Patriot on television, Nigeria, and we have been talking to CSP James Van der Fan. He is a General Investigative Officer of the EFCC. He has served there for quite a number of years. CSP James, thank you very much and welcome back.
Thank you so much.
At the international scene, exactly what you think the people's, United States of America, the UK, other African countries, and very much that was told about the anti-corruption fight in Nigeria. What has just happened now? Could it be that it has gone sour? At the international scene, exactly what do you think?
Yeah, there's no doubt that we have more respect now at the international scene when it comes to the issue of rating the government in terms of anti-corruption crusade. For you to be meticulous as a president, to subject your chief investigative officer in charge of corruption to also be investigated is to demonstrate the strong will you have in trying to contain corruption in the country. So the international community will not be disappointed at all to the decision. Now, you also notice that the government has been very careful not to hurriedly announce its own replacement. What government did is to suspend him from the office. And rather than now bringing an outsider to start from there, they asked the director of operations, Garba, to continue from where Magu'S stopped. And since he has been there under Magu', there's no way he can now not know where each of the cases has been to, because all the IPOs were reporting to him. Now, if investigating police officers were reporting to him, he has the details of all the cases in all the courts, those that are still under investigation, those that are still yet to be assigned. I think the government did it wisely to allow him to continue so that now it is shown that Magu' is under investigation. So he has not been pronounced guilty by the panel yet. So it is when decisions about the panel has been made public, that is when government may decide to either replace him or announce a replacement or ask him to go back to his office. So for me, I think that was a credible decision that the government took also. Now, if in terms of rating, I think we should have a higher rating by the Transparency International now, which is a watchdog of whatever all the agencies are doing globally. Now, when you have this kind of a decision taken by a government, is to demonstrate the integrity of that government and then to also demonstrate the ethical standard and values that the government attached to its own policies and its own operations. So for me, we are not supposed to be worried about what the government will say.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Beautiful. So I don't know how long the presidential panel headed by Ayo Salami is going to be headed for. But it's within the period of what does the law have to say concerning how long this kind of panel? Is it going to stay till the next year or 3 years until the administration is over?
Well, there's no law that stipulates the length of the panel for now, because it's an investigative panel. And we shouldn't be expecting that it will last more than 2-3 months for it to wind up what they're doing, because it's only going to hear evidences from people who may have misgivings against the EFCC operations and those who have facts to come forward and prove that Magu might have done 1 or 2 things wrong, or maybe operators or EFCC might have done something wrong. Now, but since it's just an investigation to find out particular allegations that have been levied against him, these are evidential allegations that are documented by the Minister of Justice. Now, what is left is for Magu to also take them one by one and then prove whether he's guilty or not guilty. When you're talking about the most difficult ones would have been issues of the P&D, where the judgment that was gotten against Nigeria, where the construction firm was awarded about $9 billion. Now, he was accused of delaying the investigation that resulted to that. And then issues of the former Minister of Petroleum, that is in London. He was accused of frustrating her coming back to Nigeria through the strategic policies that we have. So if these are more complex issues to dive into, it depends on what government was talking to him and what he was talking to other government overseas. Now, by the time they want to get clarification from most of these issues, since they involve international dimension, it's going to take a while. But I think because of technology, it's not going to take something eternity for them to conclude. So at most in 2-3 months, the panel should be winding up to tell us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's hope so that the 3 months is going to be very effective and very productive too.
I hope so.
Now, all right, okay, we don't know much of the details, but you mentioned them here. You know, designing, communications between countries in terms of the investigation too, and also the crimes or the alleged crimes and fraud that was mentioned and labored against him also have an international dimension to it. We are also getting to know that here it's very important. And when we're talking about what about the discrepancies of the amount that was recovered, and quite a number. You mentioned that there is a particular number of billions that was exactly supposed to be remitted and even announced, made public. And what happened to, now I'm asking you this question. Now we want to know the discrepancies that are in these figures. And why is it possibly so in the discrepancies? And those issues that would have a reason for those funds to have been stolen or whatever, and the discrepancies in those funds. Tell us the causes for why those funds and the discrepancies in the figures.
Well, I don't work in the FCC again, but I know that in the context of trying to document these figures, now you are going to collect figures from all the zones, and Magu has been able to expand the EFCC to about 7 more regional offices. And so you have to take the totality of the funds that they've recovered from their various places and then bring it to headquarters, and then they sit down to compute and see the total they've recovered within time. Now, it's on the strength of this that you arrive holistically, that this is what you'll be able to achieve in a year in terms of recoveries, foreign currencies this way, then Naira this way. Now, in doing this, I don't know why they cannot have a comprehensive figure to be sent out holistically. But the difference of what we saw was about 39 billion was undeclared. Now, if you have 39 billion undeclared, it's huge sums of money. So what would have been the mind of those who are computing this? I don't know. Or the Office of Attorney General. It may be considering that, okay, because you cannot declare 39 billion. It therefore means it's also fraud, because by investigation, if you investigate anybody and you are looking at the tracing funds and you said, okay, this is how much was given to me and this is how much I've been able to recover, and then when you try to tell the public, you now under-declared what you have recovered, then what happens to the difference? That is the question the panel is going to find out. Now, secondly, when you also look at the way we handle figures in Nigeria, at times, topographical errors could come in, but I'm not holding fault for them because the figure is too light for you to omit. Because for you to send out these figures, it should go through the account department, auditor will see it, And then the IPOs will sit down to agree that this is what I sent from my various team heads. So it's difficult for you to make such a colossal mistake of saying you want to declare it. Now, EFCC has recovery accounts. These recovery accounts are domiciled with some commercial banks, and then some accounts are with CBN. Now, when you recover funds, that the case is still under investigation, it means we're not going to release these monies until judgment is given against such funds. That's when you can now know they are your own. And then you now approach the court to now confiscate and seize completely and then turn over to government. By then you can move it to government. So once monies are with EFCC and you want to declare, you must be able to distinguish between the ones that you have recovered. When you're talking about recovery, it means you're taking charge of these funds. And then the monies that you are investigating. So you don't model figures that you are trying to get with the figures that you have gotten already. So it could be that someone might have changed. But since the panel is of the opinion, that they have Attorney General is of the opinion, that the funds that they have recovered is in excess of what they have declared, then there's a question mark about the integrity of what they have sent to the public. And that is one of the areas they're trying to find out.
Okay.
So it's difficult to find out why it was like that.
Yes.
But for now, the margin is about 39 billion. I'm not too certain about the figure. But it's above 39 billion.
39 billion is not a joke.
Yeah.
It's not the small money. Is it naira or in
No,
dollars?
Naira. Yeah.
Wow. But so, okay, that's all that. Thank you very much for that insight you have provided here.
Thank you.
Yes. So I want us to now go quickly to the relationship with Magu and other EFCC bosses. Now, we started EFCC in 2003 under President Olusegun Obasanjo.
Yeah.
And it was Nuri Badu.
Yeah.
Second by who?
Mrs. Waziri.
Mrs. Waziri. And then third by
Mr. Lamore.
Lamore.
And then Magu now.
And then Magu now.
Yeah.
So at what point were you there that you served in EFCC? And then at what point did you exit?
Well, I came into EFCC in 2008.
Yeah.
September to be precise. And I left in 2015.
Yeah.
Also September. That's when I left EFCC in 2015. Now, I left when Magu'S announced the chairman of EFCC. Now, the thing is that the relationship between Magu and first other people within the commission has not been too good, because if you happen to talk to a lot of people who have served inside the EFCC, they've not been happy because their welfare has been compromised. It's of recent that salaries have been increased. Now, when we came in 2008, I was heading the salary section of the EFCC, and what I met was an eyesore because the salary was very, very poor. Now, what the then chairman did was to move. You can understand that when everybody came was a new agency. So many things were in his head. He was trying to get office accommodation, trying to structure it in such a way that it can have the status it had, and then was also trying to make sure that it has a different operational mode from other agencies that were involved in investigation of crime also of this nature. So he was trying to set it up, both in the human and then the physical aspect and then the infrastructure also. So it was difficult to have everything done holistically.
That's right.
So in terms of salary, it wasn't well paid. But when we came, it was moved to a reasonable level. And then, rather than have people staying in Maraba, in Cairo, in Nyanya to come to work in the EFCC, what the then chairman, Mrs. Waziri, did was to approach the Federal Mortgage Bank and ask for a facility that was quite different from what is obtainable. So what they did was, Mortgage Bank will identify estates, will price them by a committee that was set up, headed by a renowned lawyer, Mr. Balasanga, and then the secretary to the commission that time. Now, they went out to look for estates that were good, that were virgin, were vacant. Now, they acquired them, and Mortgage Bank paid off those who were the owners of the estate directly. And then now the contributions of people who are in the FCC will be taken gradually to now augment the loan that would have been accrued to them here. So it is a better deal for them, and then now most of them have accommodations inside the nearby estates in town here. Now, that was also taken care of. In terms of salary, yes, it was done. In terms of this, it was also done. Now, when we left, Mr. Lamode continued in that light.
Was he the director of operations too?
Yeah, he was director of operations.
Why is it that all the director of operations always...
Well, because EFCC is not a job that you can just cut off the leadership now and then bring in someone to continue. A lot of things will go wrong. Because some cases in court got to a level of adjournments that if you continue saying you are new, you want to study what and what, they may struck them out. And then when you bring in a new person, by the time he sits down to take briefs from all the departmental heads, it's going to be a whole lot of time. So the most important thing is to allow the data operations to continue in acting capacity until when, before you now have a new chairman, he might have been able to do all this handing over notes and keep. So when you're just picking a document.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think I should call you Dr. James.
Wow.
Dr. James, thank you very much for expounding very wonderfully here.
It's a pleasure.
Oh, wow. So you know the credentials of all the EFCC bosses. How many of them so far?
4.
This is the 4th.
Yeah.
And then they haven't decided his fate yet. We don't know whether it's going to stay. But you know the, thank you for the job well done, by the way, that the mortgage banks were able to provide housing and you were head of salary.
Yeah.
And you were able to deal with the salary, the stipends for the staff.
Well, yes.
I don't know if the salary has increased by now.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, even better.
It has been increased. It's far better than what we met.
What you met, okay, fine. So
and what we left also.
Let me find out from you now. Nigerians want to know, particularly, that there are 3 predecessors. That there are 3 predecessors before Magu.
Yeah.
Do you think they are going to come together? The 3 others. I'm sure they're still all alive.
Yeah.
Come together and save their colleague, one of them, one of theirs, right now that he's in incarceration?
Well, I don't see...
Talk about his relationship with these other ones. How was it?
Well, it hasn't been too bad, and it is not also too good, because Magu is someone that he has an impulse. If he chooses to ignore you, he can. If he chooses to be nice, he can be. So it depends on his mood at a particular point in time. But his relationship with the previous chiefs of EFCC, honestly, I don't really know, because I have not been kind of monitoring what they do together. But coming together to save his head, you know, it's a moral question. All of them are there to protect the nation against the anti-corruption issues. And then it will be foolhardy today to come back and be talking about trying to save another person who is corrupt. But notwithstanding, I know that at the end of the day there will be a lot of underground political play, and that a lot of them may not want to consult and see how they can also ensure that Magu is not humiliated by by charging him to court. I think a lot of things will happen. And above all, the panelists who are there, Mr. Oybizi, the DIG, is also a very thorough person. He's the DIG in charge of Force CID. These are people that have very thorough credentials when it comes to investigation. It's one of the finest the police have today. And when people like that put down a report, it is difficult for you to start trying to fault it. So it will also be hard for you to go and be saying you want to panel the report to the public so that you could have some soft landing for the man. So it's going to be difficult if the report is finally out.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Because we're running out of time and we want to make sure that we exhaust quite a lot of these very disturbing issues. They say that DSS arrested Magu. They say DSS did not arrest Magu. Quite a number of issues, controversies on the media space, talking different kinds of things. That's not the question I'm asking you. That's not the question I'm asking you. I'm going to ask you this question, which is more important. And this is going to be the last one. Now, when I'm done with this question, then you can throw a little more light on those issues. Actually, an EFCC boss who is a police officer, who is supposed to be a head of an agency, an anti-graft agency, who is actually supposed to arrest him in the first place. All right, because you mentioned that the DIG that is on the panel is a very thorough man, and it's difficult to fault him, you know, when he writes reports like that. We only hope that he knows this job, Magu knows this job very well, because everybody is saying Magu, 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 and all kinds of things. So, but do you think it is right to keep the police officers, to keep leading EFCC? You know, because the predecessors, first, second, third, and even the fourth, they have been police officers. Now, in light of the litigation, rather, is it litigation or investigations, rather, that are ongoing, do you think the norm to continue with the headship of the EFCC should be police, considering this history that we have seen so many times that they don't even end well? You mentioned the fact that that's why Lamode just left. There was no issue against him, but he just left just like that. Because for one reason, that Magu was crafted and recommended by him, Lamode, Ibrahim Lamode, on the board of investigating, on a panel or a committee to investigate NIA.
Yeah, NSA.
NSA. Yeah. So do you think the police should continue, or we should try certain other people too?
Well, every experienced person can handle EFCC's profile. Any experienced person. But you know, leadership is by law. The law prescribes that it should be a police officer from the rank of Assistant Commissioner of Police, or because the first line charge is the police. Now, since it is the police and the heads have been doing well, all the heads have done incredibly well, all of them. Ribado had this issue, it was political, we all know. When Mr. Wazir also had our own issues, it was also political. When Ramode had his own issues that resulted in his own going, it was also political. It was not because of incompetency or inefficiency.
Yes.
So they have been very efficient. So for me, for police to be heading that place is still fine. The only area where police can do is to reduce the number of policemen who are involved in investigation directly from the lower ranks. Now, if you look at the people that were the first course 1 in the EFCC, most of them are on level 12 now. They spend about 10, 13 years in the EFCC today. So they have weight of experience. So if you don't give them the room now to now start heading sections and departments, it's going to be difficult for them to have the confidence when they are assigned this responsibility and they get to levels of director.
That's right.
So it would have been better for EFCC to now reduce the number of policemen who are posted there. It would have been junior officers from DSP below, and then the cadets course 1 and 2 should now head all the sections and departments, and then the policemen serve under them to guide them professionally on what they can do if they have gone wrong.
All right.
So with that, we'll be easing out the police gradually, and then we'll go back to where.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have run out of time now. Tell us now, finally, just to know, he is an officer of the police.
Yeah.
Thank you for that beautiful. So EFCC can continue to become the best if the EFCC, the officers, police, they should continue to use police.
Well,
but that's what I would noted. That's all. Now, who can arrest the EFCC boss?
Well,
can the police themselves or the EFCC themselves arrest him?
No, the police can arrest him. Yes, police can arrest him because
junior officers or senior officers?
Well, it depends on who is mandated. This is an instruction, it's an order. If you are given an order, even the constable can arrest him because you have been given an order. So you are operating on the prefix or the order you've been given.
Yes.
And then the mandate you have at that particular time to enforce particular order that you are asked to do. And once you don't do it, then you are questioning the authority that sent you. So anybody can arrest anybody. It depends on who is assigned to do this.
So what if the people who went to arrest him refused to arrest him because they were afraid of arresting him?
That is disobedience to lawful orders.
And so what happened to you? Who was it?
You will be punished.
Accordingly?
Yes, you will be punished.
Have you punished people who you sent to do those kind of things and they didn't come back like that?
Anybody who served under me has no reason why you can't take my orders. Nobody.
So now, do the DSS actually arrest, also arrest, please?
Yes, DSS can arrest, depending on the clearance they give, because you cannot just come from DSS to arrest a police officer of that magnitude, unless the IG gives approval. You must go to the IG.
So who in this case arrested Magu?
It was the police.
It was the police?
CID, yes.
First CID. Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. James. Thank you very much. So
for awarding me the doctorate here.
Thank you very much, because you have spoken like a doctor. Thank you very much. All right, so this is the Patriot on television, Nigerian, and we have been talking to CSP, Chief Superintendent of Police, James Van der Fan. He's an intelligent police officer who believes in the Nigerian dream, and he's highly needed when there are challenges of resolving complex security problems. James is a genius. No wonder he has got the title now as Dr. James. And he has elucidated on this very important topic not too many people can talk about. Well, this is all we have for you now on this episode of The Patriot. You can sponsor programs on this Patriot on Television Nigeria. And please call the numbers scrolling on your screen. It's been wonderful having this wonderful episode with Dr. James in the studios of Television Nigeria. I am Peggy Shelley, and so many thanks for watching.